Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us in another session of advanced trainings. My name is Petra. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been a regular, well, welcome back. This month is all about creativity and a bit of how we kind of build things within ourselves in a different way. Last month we had a full-on deep dive into the body. But tonight we do have a topic of building confidence and self-esteem. And I am joined by my beautiful guest tonight, Kirsty Hagen, and she's one of our Australian New Zealand leaders, a part of our team here in Australia. And I really wanted her to come tonight to share her stories and the programs that she's been using and her experiences and the experiences of people in her team as well, to help you out on what you can do to build your confidence and how you can shift the self-esteem within ourselves. Because as we know, without confidence and without really believing in ourselves and having self-esteem kind of present within our body, it's kind of hard to tackle the world, right? Because we tend to go into our shells, and we tend to submit into our contractive emotions of fear or shame, guilt, sometimes even anger, that might trigger us in the environment. And be it building your own business, be it creating and shifting your health, shifting and creating your own relationships with yourself and others. We need confidence in ourselves and the belief within ourselves. So I would like to introduce Kirsty tonight first before we go into anything else. She is a beautiful being, my co-leader here in Australia, and I'm so honored to have her tonight. And I will just share a bit about her because my memory today is not really well. If I'm honest, my brain is a bit short. I think I need some learning programs today. I've been overwhelmed this week. It's been just full on. I think I'm like Dory, the fish that has like 30 seconds span today. Okay, so beautiful Kirsty has a deep passion for holistic wellness and personal transformation, and I can agree with that for sure. She wears also many hats, from conscious mama, entrepreneur, yoga teacher, frequency mentor, well-being alchemist, and organizational change facilitator. Her vision is to bring the world closer together by providing wellness solutions and tools that help people reconnect with themselves and those around them. She believes in empowering individuals to understand their inherent creative power and access infinite possibilities. And I can attest to that. She's a beautiful soul, and I'm really honored to have her tonight and has beautiful stories to share. So,
thank you.
Kirsty.
Thanks, Petra. Thanks for having me. It's wonderful to be here. Hello, everyone.
You're welcome. So I am so excited to hear all about your experiences and, sharing things about confidence and self-esteem. And, first of all, I would like to actually have a question, and maybe just everyone else here as well. What does confidence or self-esteem, what does that actually mean for you? If you can pop in the chat, what is that for you? How does that feel like? What does that mean to you in life? And I would love for you, Kirsty, to actually share, what does that feel or mean for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think confidence is really when you can have it and have that self-esteem. It's about really being authentically you. Like, it's being able to really stand in your power. It's being able to be faced with the adversities that life kind of throws at us and being able to lean into that discomfort and have that confidence and that openness to receive and trust the process. Because when you can have that and instill that in yourself, it's really incredible. what actually then comes as a result of that. So yeah, I think it's just being authentically you, and authenticity has got such a powerful frequency. Like it's, 4,000 times more powerful than love. So if we can all be us and not have that pressure of almost concerned what other people think, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yes, I agree. And do you
Yeah,
feel like for me, I know that like having confidence and self-esteem to, trust my intuition enough to follow that, and
absolutely.
really, act on that inner knowing, it's something that I found like in my life is I never had confidence in things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I started trusting my intuition and started experimenting and exploring, I started building that confidence and I started
Yes.
overcoming fears and I started overcoming, that really heavy emotions of, giving my power away to other people, their opinions,
Yeah.
their views of me, and all of that. Do you feel like, you know, do you feel that that's really important in your life or building business or whatever it is that like through your journey that you had?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's really has been such a pivotal shift for me, was truly listening to that intuition. And, I think we all know it. We get those moments, then the fear really quickly creeps in about all the reasons why you can or can't do something. And,
Yeah.
4 years ago, for me, I was faced with a very significant decision to make. I worked in aviation for 17 years. There was a lot of shifts happening in the world. And my job was on the line. There was a redundancy like put out there, and I could have stayed in that organization, and that would have been the safe thing. But everything inside of me was screaming, like, if you do not go, something bad's going to happen, and I really had to ask myself, like, if I was not afraid, what would I do? And I often say this to people, because that answer that you give yourself, that's what you need to do. And like you said, it's then that confidence supporting you to be able to then take that next step. And
But
and for me, it was like have another baby and expand my well-being business, and I was like, all right, I'm doing this. Like that's, and it it was intense, like there was so much stuff coming in, like all the reasons why I shouldn't, I'm not going to have like a stable paycheck, all the things. And I was like, no, you need to listen this time. And, I think 3 weeks after I left, the company went into administration. A couple of weeks after that, COVID transpired. Um, 3 weeks actually, and my whole team got stood down anyway. And then I had a situation where, like 3 weeks after I left, I found out I was pregnant with my second child. And then, as part of my redundancy package, I was able to get some services, to kind of help transition. And it, I got Healy, like that. That's how Healy came into my life, actually. So that was the extension then of my well-being business. So it was very profound on how quickly I got that
yeah,
universal response when I
yeah.
really was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And it's, we all have the power to do that. And it's almost like, it almost becomes a little bit of a game, if you can have that confidence, because it's like, okay, let's go, let's be clear, let's see what it is that we can get. And the universe will always respond.
But it's really interesting, like for me, having these conversations because when we are in that vortex, when things are changing, right? We don't feel confident. We actually
No,
feel more in
not at
fear. We
all.
feel uncertain. We feel like everything's collapsing, right?
Oh,
I don't know if
absolutely.
if
Absolutely.
anybody can agree with this tonight. Like, I really want to know how you're feeling when you're in that space. And I really
Yeah.
like. I just wanted to come kind of set this scene, right? We can talk about, the stories that we had and how we overcame them, but when we're in that vortex of that energy, everything feels like everything just collapsing, and you feel like you don't have that confidence. You have
Correct.
none of the self-esteem. You feel like you can't do it. You feel like,
Yeah.
how will I get out of this hole? Whatever
Yeah.
that is, be it, health. Like I know with myself as well, like, I literally had this conversation last night with my partner, and because he's going through some changes in his life and he's not confident in believing in himself, in what he feels and what he sees in the
Mm,
future, that is
yeah.
something that he can create. And I actually
Yes.
went into that conversation with him because he was, a part of my healing journey, literally 90% of the time. Yeah, because we
Mm,
met really early. So we met when I was 18 years old. And I really
yes.
went through a healing journey with him, and he was there every step of the way. And I'm a
Mm,
person that actually has a really strong vision, and I can really go into that space of me in the future, like to the point
yeah.
of feeling, wind and, touch on my skin. And I had this vision of me being healed and completely balanced. And, but the
Mhm.
challenges that came along were like,
With that.
how do I do this? Like, this is not
Yeah.
working. I've been doing this for years. Like, do I continue? Do I just give up? Do I?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like, I don't know how you feel and if anybody relates to that, but I feel like when you're in that vortex, you have no idea what confidence really is. And
No.
I don't know, what do you feel like it's the most important thing when you're in that space and building that confidence in order to move through any journey?
I think, I mean, trust as a human is such an important component for any relationship, right? And you have a relationship with you. You spend the most time with you. So for me, it's like when you say you're going to do something, it's giving yourself that integrity that you do it. And so maybe you've
Yeah.
got this really big vision. And, like you said, I've definitely been able to tap in to that very clear, I can drop in and this magical, I have this beautiful house that's, I have no idea where it is, but I'm like, yes, yes. I like all of that. But, it's, and I don't know how. And I even say that to Daniel, my partner, I'm like, what is it that you want? Don't worry about the how right now. Like, what is it? And then I think it's like, okay, so then what's the next thing that makes sense to do? And you just take that little step and then you're
Yeah.
building that trust with yourself,
Yeah.
and like you said, it's very unraveling being in that because you've got everything thrown and it's that just, yeah, just that knowing that you need, I'm just going to continue doing this and doing the little steps to prove to yourself because that's how you build the confidence because when you take that step you're going to everything you do has got a reaction, and sometimes it's not
Yeah.
always the most direct way and that's okay too because that's all part of our experience. But I think just maintaining that momentum however big or small that seems at the time that's building the confidence with yourself.
I love that. Like, exactly. Like, this is the same thing for me as well. It's like
Yeah,
getting, into that space of how can I place myself in a space of experimentation? How can I challenge
absolutely.
myself to move myself out of the box, to just experiment, and
Yeah.
then get
And
feedback,
and it's
right?
so interesting you say that. Sorry to interrupt, but it's like it
No, no,
is the
no.
experiment because as soon as you can classify that, it totally shifts the energy with it. Right?
Yeah,
It's more of a game. Okay, I'm going to experiment with this. And it's like there's not so much pressure for
yeah,
you. So I love that
yeah.
I love that you've said
And
that.
I,
I
I
had that
love that
conversation with
because
someone the other day,
yeah.
actually.
And I feel like I've been actually having these conversations for a while now. And when this topic came up as a confidence and self-esteem, like, we tend to analyze, how do
Mm,
I become confident? How do I build self-esteem, right? And then you can read all these blogs online, you need to build trust, yeah? And you need to kind of, do the work, right? And then you have to kind of, all these analytical structures of how to
mm,
build confidence. And then when it
yeah.
comes to doing things in a practical way, you just go, how do I do this? Like, how does that
Yeah.
feel? Like, I have no idea
Yeah.
what that actually mean in my body, right? And how
Yes.
will I know I'm actually really confident? Like, you know, and it's really funny because when we look at Healy, right? And
Yes.
when we look at how do we build that through frequency, um, is something that I love and something magical happens for me is
Mm.
like you don't have to actually overanalyze. And we had this conversation the other day, right?
Yeah.
It's things happen on a completely different level. You can
Yeah.
actually use the frequency and things change. Do you feel like you
Correct.
had this experience in your life as well when you were doing things?
So many times. Like, so it's countless. And, I mean, I think for me, the trajectory on this last 4 years, because that's how long I've also been using Healy for, has been profound. And it's like the pace at what things have kind of shifted is, if we were
Yeah,
having this conversation 4 years ago, I'm not sure that I would have even thought that where I'm at right now would be possible. But it's, here I am, and it is constantly that wave. And I think the thing is, it's a constant evolution, and I think that's why this is
yeah,
such an incredible tool as well, because it can meet you at where you're at that point and really help
yeah,
to shift through it. So it's because confidence can go. You can just be like, I am this, yes, it's all happening, da da da, and then something can happen, right? And then you kind of like, okay, all right, we're going to regroup, we're going to, so, and then you're moving through whatever that experience is. Like, I remember when I became a mom, and I was just like, I have no idea and it actually broke so much of my confidence in so many
yeah.
other areas of my life, and it was just, it was just like, okay, well, it's a different version of me. So what does that look like? And how do I,
Yeah.
how do I pull those things in? And, but yeah, the how to have a tool with the frequency, because everything is frequency, everything has that vibration. And if we are able to have these tools, and I mean, I'll talk to it, but that's why I love the organ programs, because we like fear, like the kidney programs for me are just so catapulting, being able to move through things. And even the ones for courage, like, and just being centered. And I love being able to use that, because you still feel it, you're still going through it, but you don't get stuck. You can keep that momentum going. And that's the beautiful thing that
And I
and I do a lot of modalities, and it's not, yeah, I've never had the experience I've had at such a amplified
amplify
rate
way.
as I have. Yeah. In the
And
last 4 years.
I love how you talked about, that you build that confidence and then something shifts and changes and you need to regroup, right? And I love
Mm.
this because when I look at Healy and when I look at quantum field and energy, right? Everything is in layers, right? We think,
Yes.
and we tend to see ourselves as this being, right? And I need to be this kind of way, and confidence looks like this, right? But then in reality, things are completely different, right? We go
Hmm.
and we are literally just moving marbles around and, on
Yeah.
different layers. It's just like, okay, so now it's a different color. Okay, I need to regroup and shift here, right? And now,
Yes.
oh, it's changing again. It's like weather, yeah? So it's really
Yes. Yes.
interesting how you said that, and I relate to that completely. And I just really want to share this with people is that, why are we so stuck in
Mm.
a vision of how we need to be, in a certain way, and how confidence need to look like, instead of
Yeah.
actually experimenting on different levels and shifting accordingly to where we are in that moment. Because what I wanted to say is that Healy does that exactly. When we have the
Yes.
programs, right? It's
Yeah.
exactly what it does in that
Yeah.
moment. It applies the frequencies we need. It applies the shifts that we need to have. And I
Yeah.
love when you're saying, I use the organs, organ meridians and organ programs to shift the frequency of the emotion in that moment. And
Mm.
then the next moment things change. So there's something else coming
Mm.
up. I love
Yeah.
that. So I
Yeah.
really want us to go deep into the programs that you have been
Yeah.
using,
Sure. Yes.
and like tell us the programs that you use for confidence and, self-esteem building, that trust, courage. And
Yes.
let's look at the programs and just share your experience of, the
Yeah,
feelings
sure.
that you get and the stories that you have around. I really want
Awesome.
to hear that.
Yeah, for sure. So we can start with the gold. So I love pure. I love running pure first thing in the morning because obviously that is a focus on the kidneys and the lungs, right? So it's fear and grief, which we often need to. Because I also fear that when we're building confidence, it's a part of our evolution and our developmental path, right? So things are expanding, and not everything will stay with us. Like some things will go, people will come and go, and there's a grieving process with that as well. So that I love as a starting point to really help start for the day to build to build my confidence to be like, right, what do I need to do? And also from an energetic, obviously our kidneys are our energy kind of source, so being able to have that. I have one of my team who swears by the being program, and she has used it a lot for when she's had to speak in meetings, or if she's had to have one-on-one meetings with senior management, and she just is like, I don't even know what happens to me, but it's like I just connect to my soul, and she speaks from her heart in this very authentic way. And she said she almost comes out and she's like, I don't know, but whatever I said was amazing. It felt amazing, so she swears by that program to use when she's having conversations.
So it's more
I think
like,
that,
so what I'm hearing is she feels like she's more connected to herself, which
yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense. So when we are more
correct.
connected, we're more authentic, we build that confidence with ease and grace. It's not like we need to
Yes,
work for it, right? It comes
correct.
naturally from who we are. And being is
Exactly.
connected to the soul
So, yeah,
space, yeah, which is
yeah,
amazing. That actually makes sense for me, of course.
yeah, it's
Okay, so what's
great.
the next one?
And then I really like, I mean, in the mental balance. So I actually love the mental balance acute, that 20-minute program, because I just feel whenever I'm super overwhelmed and I don't know if I can even do the focus, that is 20 minutes of just centering me. I always say every mum needs that. It's like a mama frequency, but it applies to anybody that's got a lot of things happening in their life, to be honest. But it just brings it's serenity and clarity, and it's that
Yeah.
sense of calm to then be able to go and do what you need to do. So
I have
I
the
love
same
that one.
feeling. I have the
Yeah.
same feeling. I just have this feeling, this big, huge cloud over my head just lifts. Like it's just
Yeah.
this really light space in my head that comes in. I love that one. Yeah, I
And
use that one too.
I have quite a few team members that have purchased their Healy purely on running that program because,
Oh,
they were just, and I was like, oh my goodness, try this, just like, no, and yes, I'll be getting that. And then inner unity as well, because,
yeah.
again, that's a connection and just, it is for self-esteem, really. It's to help support you on that. So I love that program. Um,
Can I add on this?
yeah,
I have a
yes,
I have
please.
a story around inner unity. A friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
she really suffered with like huge social anxiety. Like
Mm-hmm.
she wouldn't go eat in a restaurant alone. Like she wouldn't even go to a gym alone. Like she would be afraid to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And she got a Healy and it completely changed her life. Like she ran, of course, different programs, but majority of time she ran the inner unity. And now she can actually go to a restaurant alone. She's now in a gym for like the last
Mm-hmm.
year, like, and she
Oh, that's
is
incredible.
transforming her life.
Yeah,
Yes, so it has
that's
a
beautiful.
powerful effect on the body and on
Mm.
our mental perceptions of how we connect to
Yeah,
ourselves and how we see the world around us. So it's a beautiful, really
yeah.
beautiful program. I love
That's
that program.
incredible. And I mean, I think that's the thing. We need connection to thrive as well, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so important for us. So to be able to have that tool to be able to support her, get out there, that's amazing. Um, Activation, which I actually have running right now. So, I mean, I was even a bit
Yeah.
nervous coming on because I'm coming to talk, even though I know. But I feel like activation is such such a powerful program just to keep you on point, and it really does activate. So not only if you are public speaking, that it really kind of gives you that succinct way to be able to articulate what you need to say. Also, if you are kind of wanting to really set intention, so if you are wanting to do vision, it's a really great one if you want to be very clear about what it is that you're wanting to achieve and running this program at the same time. And whenever I'm creating things or coming up with, might be doing some writing or creating new blends, it's one that I run a lot as well.
Yeah.
So I love that.
And I feel like activation also, when we build in confidence and self-esteem, is activating our inner knowing. It's like when you
Yes.
go out into the world, you actually activate the nervous system and you activate the
Yeah.
the energetic field. So you're more, you feel and sense more, but at the same time, you have this space around you so you can kind of breathe. So I love that program. I agree
Yeah.
completely.
And I think it's also like when we're doing the magnetism, like when you are doing that and you're recalibrating your frequency and you're at that higher, then that's when you're bringing the people in resonance with that into you. When you meet all these incredible people, and then that continues to elevate. So that's
Yeah.
I find it quite magnetizing. The same with coherence. Like I love coherence as well, just from that heart mind. Emotional connection, again
Yeah.
coming into that kind of clarity, because when you have the clarity, it's really about then that instills confidence in you, and really that connection to your heart and building that strength in your heart that you can do it
Yeah.
is, yeah, I
Which
love
when we when
coherence.
we when we have a strong heart, right? When we
Mhm.
are sitting in the space of the heart, there's more confidence within ourselves as well.
Yeah,
We are more eager and excited and inspired to actually go out into the world without the judgments and without, fear, so much of the fear. Or even if we have fear, we
yeah,
can actually overcome it, which I love.
yeah, move through it. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
you kind of, it relieves a lot, because that's what I have found so much in these last 4 years. It's like the external and internal busyness is dissipated, and that gives you confidence. Like without having all
correct.
of that noise, that has really pulled the confidence factor up as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
In the bioenergetic harmony one potency, like, because that's, if you're out there and you want to like really kind of make a stand in whatever that you're doing, I find that's a great one as well. Yeah, with anything that you're really wanting to make an impact with. And I think this is something as well, right, with confidence. So, the whole fake it till you make it, all those types of sayings, it's like you can go, but if you are confident, like you can listen to somebody speaking and they may not even know what they're talking about. But if they have that in a confident tone, you're like, all right, okay. So it's kind of,
yeah,
it's that being able to execute it in that, because it's got its own vibration, isn't it? So
yeah.
it's,
It's
you're
a
capturing
frequency.
that. Yeah, you're capturing it.
Yeah,
The kidney program, I said, so like in the meridians, so the kidney there, also the female kidney oil. I love that. Obviously, male kidney oil. Um,
in the deep
and then
cycle, right? In the deep
in the
cycle
deep
page, you mean?
cycle, yeah. And I
Yep.
love that because of the support for obviously like all the hormonal support, as well as the energetic, as well as the
Yeah.
emotional support. So that's a beautiful one. There's so many. And then for confidence and courage, the large and small intestine, I love that in the meridians too. So that's, and I think I want to, sorry, just go back to the kidney,
Mm.
because like what I was saying to you the other day, I had the most profound experience within 52 minutes of running that kidney meridian program. So before, I was going to Portugal for a 10-day retreat, actually, to meet with a lot of beautiful people in the Healy community, and I it was the first time I was going to be away from my youngest son. I was still kind of breastfeeding, but we were coming to the end of it. And I really also knew it was going to be such a transformational experience that I wasn't sure what I was going to find on the other side. And I was afraid. And it took away a lot of my confidence for a lot of reasons I didn't even think would arise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I ran that program, and I remember ringing my partner, and I'm like, I can't go. This was like 3 days before I was going. I'm like, I cannot go. I'm not going to go. He's like, what are you talking about? and then I ran that program because I'm like, I was it was actually debilitating. Like I was getting myself in such a state of anxiety, and I ran that program in 52 minutes. I went from there's no way I'm going to I'm going to go pack my bag. Like it was, I haven't experienced such a shift in such a very short period as what I did with that. And I was like, oh my goodness, I know this is a powerful tool, but it continues to surprise me
Yeah.
along the way as well.
And
Uh,
it's beautiful when you say that, right? Because fear has this power, right? It's flight and fight response, but at the same time,
yeah.
kidneys are our life energy. They actually give
Yes.
us life energy. They move and filter the blood, and it's in the water through that. It's really interesting to observe when we actually work with the organs and we look at the emotions in the body and we see how certain emotions that are contractive and they're literally
Yeah.
debilitating, we can't move, although no matter what mind, thoughts we
Hmm.
have, if we have that frequency within the body, we can't shift it until we shift
Oh
the
yeah. Like
frequency in the body.
absolutely.
And
And
when
it's
you,
power,
yeah,
and it's, I think to have that experience, it just gives you great appreciation for the people having that as their reality for a lot of their kind of, day lifetimes, and so to be able to
yeah,
have something that can really help support you for
yeah,
that is life changing,
of
it
course.
really is. Yeah.
And I
Um,
agree with fear especially because when we're
mm,
building or we're starting to build the confidence, right? There'll be fear coming up for sure, like thousand
yeah.
percent, right?
Yeah.
And imagine if you can breathe. Like for me, I had a really huge anxiety and depression, right? For me, I wouldn't be like opening up to anyone. Like I was completely closed. And when I
Mm,
actually had to go out and speak, with people, just with people, I would be shaking, like completely shaking.
yeah.
I wouldn't be able to actually come up with words, and I would say different words that didn't mean anything, and it would be then shameful. And
Mm,
having a tool like this, I tried breathing back then, I tried so many things, but because the fear in the body was so integrated, that I needed to go really deep in order to transform that energy
yeah.
and the frequency itself. Like with a tool like Healy, you wouldn't need to go analyze all of that. You would
Mm,
literally just apply the organ meridian, like the kidneys, or
yeah.
do the deep cycle, which goes really deep on energetic levels, right?
Yeah.
And then actually help yourself move through this, and it wouldn't
Yes.
feel that intense experience that we had before.
Exactly. And that's the thing I find, like it's such a nourishing and supportive way to do it, because it's not like it's just like, right, I'm going to rip you out. It's like it's, again, meeting you at where you're at and being able to help support you through that process. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible. And then I do love Pure Calm as well, again, just to be able to help stop a lot of the chatter. And then the chakras as well, like I think the throat chakra and that point of communication, and the root chakra to ground. So
Yeah.
there's a lot, but it's,
No, but I love
they're
that.
really the ones. Yeah.
I love that. Like, what are your favorite programs that you tend to go to? Like your go-tos in your basket when you go out and you put
So
it in your pocket.
yeah, both. I mean, definitely coherence, definitely activation, pure. Like these are my big ones I run. The kidney ones I run a lot. So that they would be kind of my top, handful.
Top ones.
Um,
Yeah.
the other thing though, is the coach app. Like that for me, that's such a powerful thing that I use a lot to help bridge the limiting beliefs, and even the aura scan, because that's obviously uncovering a lot of things. But the coach, to for me to be very specific and uncovering that, I kept having every time I would do a scan about my business, success, wealth, it would come up with family, relationships, ancestral. It was always ancestral. And I was like, okay, I need to do some work on this, because if I don't shift this, I'm not going to get where I need to go. And, I was able to reach out to one of the beautiful time weaver practitioners and do one of, like, those protocols, and wow, like just profound again to be able to shift. to shift. Yeah, the coach is just, there's no hiding. There is no hiding from the coach. And now
Yeah.
it's great, and then I've done it's the test, because now whenever I put those in, it's not the family relation, like it's a good sorted database now. So it's proof, even though I know within, but it's actual like black and white proof that it's done what it needs to. So
It's funny when you say that, like what Katie and I, so Katie Chisholm is the one that done the aura session
oh,
here with
she's
us in the
incredible.
advanced
She's so
training. She's
incredible.
amazing. And we always laugh at things when we do the scans for ourselves, right? So we help each other kind of look at things, right? Because it's
Yeah.
when we are building our own confidence, and sometimes we don't want to see things that are like, that
Mhm.
muddy, right? Like it's like,
Yeah.
nah, I don't want to look at that one. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go that way. It's there's flowers. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go for the flowers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
she
Yeah. Yeah.
sent me. We were like laughing doing the scans, and then I was reading out the scan, and then the second one in an aura came up, and I read it out, and she was like, "Give me that," and I'm like, "Okay." And I gave her the phone, and she was like, "Delete." Okay, read forward. I'm
Yeah,
like, "Okay,
it's
cool." So
it really is. I did quite a few scans. I think I was saying to you the other day over the weekend for some clients,
yeah,
and it's like this may be very confronting what's going to come
yeah,
up.
of
But I
course.
also feel it's also why I love this. Like I'm very much a go to the root cause person. So, I feel like if we're going to actually really do things in a way that's going to make a substantial difference in our life, that you need
Yeah,
that's where the goodness needs. And obviously you can't always go straight there, but I love that it allows you to do that. I just think
yeah.
I say unraveling. I feel like I need to come up with a new word, but because I think that causes alarm for some people, but it's such a beautiful process to really,
Yeah,
like the onion rings kind of unpeeling to get right really to the
yeah,
essence of you. And it's
yeah.
beautiful. Like it's truly beautiful. Yeah. I
And
feel
I
very
agree.
grateful.
Like my partner has an amazing experience in building his confidence, for example.
Yeah.
He's a quite quiet person, and I've shared a few of the stories here as well before, but he's quite a quiet person, and he's always been quite, retrieved, and he talks to me a lot, yeah. But
Mhm.
with everyone else, he's kind of really quiet, right? And he never really felt confident enough to actually follow his dream, or build on his whatever life, yeah. And whatever would came, if he would need to stand up for himself or believe in himself and actually confidently do a job that he would like to, he would always have this limiting beliefs, and fear would come up, and he would just stop, right? And then I said, okay, let's do something, right? So I've used Schuster Salt's coaching, aura, and Soul Cycle. So I've
Yeah.
tested things. I like to test things, so people knows me.
Yeah,
Like
me too.
I use my I use my partner as a bunny. And he's willingly doing that.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
so I'm not keeping him hostage here. But it's and then he sees me experimenting, and it's what is that saying? Uh, do as you say, not say as you do,
As I do,
or what
yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like to do things, not just talk. So I just go and experiment, and then he follows me, right? So he follows me
Yeah.
and does the same thing. But his confidence, for example, when we started using the aura scan of literally
Mm-hmm.
bringing things into awareness, and he had like a month of a really challenging month looking at those things that were coming up, and we only did 2 scans in that month, and we were vibrating for that month. And then the next
Mm-hmm.
month what I've done is doing the Schussler salts and vibrating that, and then applying Soul Cycle at the same time. So we have the
Yeah, wow.
the acceptance, and we have the
Yes.
what is the other one? I always forget the names. Self-confidence is there.
Mm.
The inner something. I forgot the name, sorry. um
Yeah.
I
In a
can
being
check
or
in the Soul
something.
Cycle, but
Yeah.
yes. So that actually really shifted for him. Like he went
Mm.
in 2 weeks of doing the Schussler salts and the Soul Cycle. He went from completely being quiet and not talking to anyone except me, to going and doing videos on social media. And he would not
Oh,
touch social
wow.
at all. Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden he got this, excitement, and he would be perfectly fine if people would say anything to him or not. He would just go out there. And I'm like, he didn't tell me anything, right? And I'm looking at Facebook and I'm like, what? I'm like, and I actually talked to him that night. I was like, what did you post a video? And he would did the
Yeah.
training on things, the things that he's doing. And I'm like, that is really, really big shift. And then he was like, I was like,
Yeah.
what happened? What made this shift happen? And he was like, oh, I was doing those programs that you gave me. And I'm like, what programs? And he was like,
Yeah.
the soul thingy. And
So
I'm like,
good.
and so yeah, like you can
Yeah.
shift things, right? And if you actually apply the right combinations, but you need to kind of, like we said before, experiment and get the feedback, right? And your
Yeah.
body gives you like the feedback is you looking for the response. How's your body responding, right? Is it you feeling the change? If you're not feeling the change, maybe you need to do it once or twice or three times. Sometimes
Yeah.
frequency needs time to shift around, right?
Definitely.
And consistency is the key, and observing the feedback, the response of the body. And
Yeah.
it's really important to not just give up just because you apply it once and, oh my God, I don't have any shifts, right? You don't know how deep in the body a certain frequency really is, right? And we need to actually move it through the layers like an onion, like you said, to actually build that up, to actually move it
Hmm.
through, to release it before we actually feel the connection. Do you have that experience within, like, for yourself as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just, it's kind of endless, really, around what it can, what I there is just so many. I think, over the last, particularly just that the last 4 years, and I mean, even just now, I've rebranded my whole business, and it's like that. It actually, my partner was like, I've never seen you doubt yourself as much as you have right now. And because it was going again to that other level of visibility, and visibility is scary, but also at the same time, if you want to build it, you have to be visible. Like it's not possible not to be. And so again, like leaning into that and just doing the thing. All right, so I wrote a list of what are the things I need to do, and being able to use the different programs to be able to work through that. And like I said, for me, through that experience, I really have used a lot with the organs. Like that's where I really find a lot of profound shifts, and the even the concentration, just to really stay focused. I love that as well, because I feel like that kind of shuts out a lot of the noise when the imposter syndrome likes to come in and tell me all the reasons why I can't do the things that I'm doing. And, I think I have had the most, I think also we also look so much external for external gratification. But I'll tell you right now, from my own experience and having this experience a multitude of times in the last 6 months, when you put yourself out there and you are, you're going against that, but you're still building your confidence and the self-esteem and coaching yourself along the process and using these incredible tools, and you do it, that internal gratification is like nothing else you'll ever feel from anybody else. And that has been the shift from that, like coming in and just wow, bringing me to tears, honestly. But just like, oh my God, I've done it. Like, I just did this. And I didn't ever think it was possible, and then it's just right. Okay, what's next? And that's where it's just infinite, and why we are such powerful creators. And when we can shift through these things, anything is possible. Like it actually truly is. So yeah, but it's a,
I
it's
I
a
love that.
constant thing. It's not a one stop
Correct.
blah blah blah, and
I
like you
love
said,
it.
it's like how long has it taken for us to be in this instance? And it's not a like you were saying, it's not a one thing. It's like it's taken time to get here. It's going to take time, but it doesn't take the same amount of time.
Correct.
It's if you do it,
Yeah.
and I love to call that inspired action, which is, a kind of a term that I've got from other people in the community, because it's around being inspired by you, by what your vision is, to then be able to take those steps using the tools you have to help you get through those limiting beliefs. And then, yeah, just take the action. Because if you don't do the things as well, it's not the whole, you don't get the whole magic of what's truly out there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I love this. It's exactly like, it's in summary, if I would say it for myself, like you described it just beautifully. But like for me, when I look at building confidence, right, it's not just I need to make myself confident. It's like you said, aligning, keeping your vision stronger than
Mm,
the contractive emotions that are keeping you down, because it's
yeah.
like breaking the chains, right? In the frequency world, it's literally you need to shift the wave, and you need
Yeah.
to ride the wave first in order to actually get onto the different level. And it's
Absolutely. Yeah.
aligning your thoughts with the vision and the emotions, and then doing the action. That's
Yeah.
the hardest one to do, because it's
Yeah.
the frequency we are on. It's the physical 3D world or 4D
Mm-hmm.
world. It's the density, right, that we're moving
Correct.
through, and that's why
Yeah.
the resistance is so strong. And having tools like Healy to actually help us shift that frequency in order to
Yeah.
move through this density, it's just amazing. Like
Yeah.
we could really transform things. And looking back in my life, how much energy I had to put in order to move through this density. Like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, like seriously. And I'm like,
Yeah,
people don't
it's
actually
not how you
know.
just like constantly going uphill, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like it's
Yeah.
like people actually don't understand that transformation is becoming a different person. You're not the same person anymore.
No.
And I love when you say, you to the point of crying when you
Yeah.
actually achieve something. It's exactly that. You're in a complete alignment with your true
Yeah.
self, and that brings that frequency of joy up. And
Yeah.
what else is the purpose of being here on earth, at least for me, is to fulfill your heart with joy and share it with others.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
it's
That's what
something
I
that's
say
amazing.
that's what I say my measure of success is joy.
Yeah,
Because everything else is in alignment if I'm in that.
correct.
That's my I don't need a full list of KPIs. I just got one.
Yeah, no. The Healy's
Yeah.
KPI every day.
Yeah.
How many times you use it, right? Okay,
Exactly.
for the last question, so then we can move to some questions if anybody has any. But um, what would be an advice that you would give anyone building their own confidence? Because some people can be in a really big contraction, when it comes to that.
Yeah.
What is something that you would advise someone to start with, and maybe three things that they can have to lean on?
Yeah. Look, I definitely think the vision part is huge. Like your why needs to be so strong that the days that you don't want to do anything, you still want to do something. And for that, I actually have two layers. So I have like my immediate, and then I have something that's above that, because that I've always got room to move. So,
Yeah,
my immediate why would be it's I want freedom to have choice in everything I do with my family and I. And then above that is bringing the world closer together, and like that seems huge, but I'm like, well, that's what it is. So I think just having a very definitive um why that is so strong to keep you on task. Um, but then in the same breath, like you bring that alignment, but don't feel like you have to do it all. So just what's the one thing you can do today that you can keep that promise to yourself and do? And it
yeah,
can be it's be something very
yeah,
simple to just and keep it simple, keep it little and keep it small, and just do it, and you will build
yeah,
that. And then each day it might get slightly bigger, it might take time, but that's okay. So I think that would definitely be it. And use your Healy. It's like, use this incredible device that you've
yeah,
got to be able to really help the trajectory of where you are, because this is something profound that I truly would love every home to have, because of my own personal experience and the shift that it's created for me on all the levels. So that would be my top
Yeah.
three.
Love that. Yeah, completely. And
Yeah.
when you say keep it small, keep it simple, as long as you're moving, right? It might
Yeah.
take time. But when I look at the quantum field, when we are aligned, and even if the step here on a physical level is a baby step, right? When you
Yeah.
are aligned, you can actually, you know, fold in and collapse timelines. Quantum
Correct.
field does not have
Absolutely. Yeah.
time. And you
No.
can actually create things much faster when you actually give yourself time and align with yourself.
Yeah.
And we
And
forget
you
that. We live, sorry, yeah, we
totally,
live in
but
the
I
physical
was sorry to
world.
interrupt. Yeah.
No,
No, go. You finish.
no, I'm just saying that, that we feel like we are limited by this
To
physical world.
totally. Yeah.
And then we think that we can't change it, if we go into energy, but we can
Yeah.
do so much just by aligning, like, and Healy is a
Yes.
beautiful tool to do that, exactly that, to collapse
Yeah.
timelines, like, seriously.
Oh, I mean, I kind of say that time evaporates now purely for that reason, because I'm like, wow, that's, yeah, but like it is constant. It's a constant work. But the other thing I wanted to say as well is like the little things that you're doing. It could literally be take a day of doing nothing because you need to rest and actually do that. Like it doesn't have to always be the doing. It's like it's listening. Okay, yeah, I'm supposed to go and do this lunch and da da da, but I am just exhausted and I just need time for me and listen to that, because that's where you have your own personal growth and connection with you. And they say in the aircraft, like, make sure you always put yours oxygen on mask first, right? Like you need to have that before you can do it for anyone else. So I think I just wanted to make that
Love
clear
that.
as well, that it doesn't have to be doing,
I
because
love
that is
that.
a doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at quantum field, doing nothing is creating through thought, and emotion is physically doing nothing, it's creation,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it's something we forget, right? It's not all
Absolutely.
action, action. It's the seasons
No.
we live in. And I love how you say that. It's such an important
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kirsty, for
That's
sharing all the
okay.
programs in the chat with you. I really, really enjoyed it. So let's look at some questions. If anybody has a question, pop your hand up. We can actually unmute you. I'm just going to go through a chat and see what comes up and what people have been saying. Oh, Jeffrey, you always give me some beautiful wisdom. Jeffrey wrote, perhaps the main purpose in life is to uncover our own true self on the inside and to encourage others to do the same. I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Beautiful.
bring on the roller coaster. I love that one.
Yes.
Yeah, being uncomfortable in the unknown is hard. How can
Mm.
I might offer a bit of a different approach here. How can we reframe that? How can we bring more play and joy into the unknown? Because as soon as we have a perception, seeing something that's unknown, that is hard or challenging, because unknown, going on a roller coaster can also be unknown, right? There's fear present, right? But what about if we say that the unknown is also known to our spirit? It's only unknown and unseen to our physical self. So unknown space, it's literally known to our spirit, because spirit is guiding us there. So if we actually surrender into that space and trust that we are supported, this is something that changed my life completely, because I had to surrender into unknown a lot of times, shifting
Yeah.
like from one day to another. So maybe
Yeah.
something to look at, and that dissipates the fear for me. I don't know
Mm.
how you feel for that, Kirsty.
Yeah, I mean, I think just in general, like if you can do things that bring you joy, that elevates your vibration in itself. But yeah, surrender is critical, and it's challenging, but it's critical to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a learning
Yeah.
process for our ego, right? Our
It
ego
sure
doesn't,
is.
it likes control, right? It
It
doesn't like
does.
surrender.
Yes.
It wants to be the
Yes.
captain in control of the ship.
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
so Kirsty, is there any other program than mental balance? Is it mental balance acute or systemic that you're using for Serenity for mums?
I love the acute, the 20 minutes,
The
because I feel
acute.
like that's a good time frame for mums to have
Yeah. Is there
in
any is
between.
there any other program that you use for Serenity for mums that mums can actually help themselves during?
I mean, I love the coherence. I just think the
Yeah.
coherence is such a beautiful, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big one that I love. Even
Yeah.
the learning system in the program, the learning system program in the learning page, because that's obviously for your central nervous system as well. So that's a good one as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
any of those.
Um, yeah. And I love so if I'm like in aquatic energy, I
Mm.
love the pure energy in the deep
Oh,
cycle
yes.
page,
Yeah.
because it strengthens my energetic field and it calms the nervous system. I love that one
Yeah.
too. Um, Jeffrey Coach brings up things that I would never have imagined. I know. Sometimes I feel like I just go delete. No, I'm not looking at it. Next week, I'm gonna go do next week. Today, I'm just doing this one.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I like to add some humor to things, right? We take things so seriously and,
Yeah.
we get
Yeah.
challenged and triggered by all these things. And maybe, an invitation for everyone here, life is already, it can be hard and it can be
Yes.
challenging, but if we actually put play on it and say, how do I play with this, right? How do I make it a bit more fun? How can I laugh about this, right? Instead of just
Yes.
seeing it as a horrible heavy thing, right? And
Yeah.
just play with it and not take it personally, not judge it and put it in labels and boxes and this is how it is and I'm a bad person, blah blah blah, right? Just go, oh,
Yes.
let me explore what that actually is, just trying to play around. It's a good thing.
I'd say that that's adulting, right? I think that was such a big thing for watching my boys, and like that inner, just that curiosity and that inner childlike like awareness of things, because
Yeah.
it just shifts the thing. Where adult, I remember having this conversation with my 6-year-old the other day. I'm like, yeah, adulting, I don't know, it's not always so fun, like because of the serious factor, but if you have fun, then it's good.
I watched a reel like doing adulting, right? Because that is also confidence. We need confidence in becoming an adult because it's taking
Yes.
personal responsibility. And sometimes we don't
Yes.
want to, right? And I
Yeah.
saw this reel. Well, actually, a friend of mine sent it to me. And it was this girl sitting in the car, and mum was filming her, and she was like hysterically crying. I don't want to be an adult. I don't even want to be a teenager. I don't want
Oh.
to be an adult. And then her mum was saying, "Oh, honey, I feel you. Like I'm crying, some days about that too." And she looks at her and she goes, "No." And then she literally said, "I don't want to be an adult." And mum said, "Okay, can I not be an adult as well?" And she goes, "No, because you're an
Need
adult,
someone to
right?"
be an adult. Oh yeah, look, I think just more the seriousness factor attached to it. Like you said, just being able to, yeah, not be so serious
Yeah,
all the
have
time.
fun, right? And I know
Yeah.
it gets stressful and kids get overwhelmed. And of course, as mothers
Oh yeah,
and parents, you feel everything, right? And you want to
absolutely.
keep them safe and support them. But unfortunately, sometimes, you need to lose it in order to find it again. Yeah, that's
Yes,
kind of the
absolutely.
mantra of life. Um, so anyone knows where to get the link for Healy World APEC events, activities? Oh yes, it's in the Healy Facebook group
Facebook.
as well. Thank you, Julie. You never so live as when you are experimenting with yourself. Yes. Sometimes you want to also run away.
Yeah.
How to clear confusions, how to get creative ideas and put them into action using programs. Kirsty, any ideas on that?
I mean, I think the confusion, I suppose it depends what it stems from. Like, is it confusion because you've got too much external information and you can't make that kind of decision? Because, even the stress, like the stress programs and they're quite good in the learning system page. So I feel like it depends what that external thing is, but anything that's gonna ground you. So I was, the root chakra. I think that again, the coherence program, any of the one pure calm, the central nerve, any of the ones that are going to just help me, even breath of life, just to take time with your breath
Yeah.
to kind of do that. And so I feel like confusion is a lot because we're so busy and our nervous system is activated in not the most best way. So it's really how you can, calm that.
I
And then
completely
the
agree.
creativity, I love activation. Like I love the activation. Obviously, we're not talking about the mag, but I love the creativity program on the mag for that too.
Yeah. I like the vagus nerve on the mag as well
Oh
for
my
the nervous
gosh, it's
system.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
yes.
sometimes that puts me into sleep, so I tend to go
Okay.
to others.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
there is a complete grounding frequency in the program Free Flow, Fine Flow,
Oh,
Free
of
Flow,
course.
Fine Flow,
Yes.
Free Flow.
Yeah.
I think
Fine
it's
flow.
Fine Flow because they've been changing names
In
and
the
I've been
sleep
like,
program, you're talking about the sleep
yeah, yeah,
program?
yeah. I think it's a
Fine. Yeah,
Fine
fine
Flow.
flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is fine
Um,
flow. Free flow
because
is
it's
in
a
deep cycle.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm kind of mixing those in my head today.
it's her. Yeah.
So it's the literally the grounding frequency of Earth. So
Yeah,
that's
it
in
is.
that fine
Yes.
flow program. I find that if I actually do it after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm too active.
Yeah.
If I actually do it morning or midday, I actually have a really nice flow of energy within the body, and my
Yeah.
nervous system is calm. But
Yeah.
because my nervous system, I'm balancing my nervous system, and my nervous system gets wired and tired at night because my adrenals are not balanced yet. So I see if
Yes.
I actually do a grounding program, it activates it too much for me. So that's what I found. But yes, so any confusion means clarity. Yeah. So we need to bring clarity. We'd also need,
Clarity.
like
Yeah.
Kirsty said, bringing the nervous system into balance. Then mental balance acute is beautiful to lift that,
Yeah.
brain fog out of the head. Anything else you want to
Daniel
add?
Daniel actually uses release a lot as well. He really finds
Yeah.
that helps him a lot. So because obviously that's for physical and emotional.
Yeah.
So that he runs that a lot at work when
Yeah.
there's a lot happening. Yeah.
If I want to put creative ideas into action and I feel like I'm stuck, yeah, like procrastination, I like to use fitness programs like circulation and things like that on a physical level. So that puts my
Yeah.
energy into motion
Yes.
so I can actually focus.
Regeneration as well, actually. I love
Yeah.
regeneration in there for that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Is Healy sound healing frequency? Kirsty, would you like to answer that one?
Where are we?
Otherwise, so is
What is
Healy,
this?
no, this was a direct message that was probably in between, but is Healy sound healing frequency?
It's not sound healing because it's not music.
No.
But no, it's obviously like any frequency has got that hertz, but this is like the electromagnetic component. The sound is the music frequency. You obviously have your plant frequency. So yeah, no.
I will add mine, but maybe Jeffrey with
Yeah, please do.
because it's electro engineer, he might know more technical wise. But
Yeah.
from what I know, this is my knowledge. I'm not saying that this is completely what it is, but from what I know, Healy frequencies. So any frequency that we have, it's a sound. We just don't hear
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
sorry.
have a
Yes.
different range. No, that's okay. We have a different range of frequencies. Yeah. But if you would actually apply these frequencies and pop them into sound, some of them you could hear, some of them you wouldn't. Yeah. And some of them would actually become light because frequency has a light spectre. Yeah. But there's only a spectre of light that we can actually see. There's just a range of those frequencies. Jeffrey, do you have anything to add on this? Like, do you feel like there's anything to add on a healing?
I see the universe as being an electromagnetic universe, which has its parallels resulting in sound and light and other things. But the reverse does apply to an extent as well. But fundamentally, everything is just electromagnetic radiation.
Yeah, I agree completely. And we just not yet, dogs and horses that can hear the sounds that we don't.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeffrey, for your input. I really appreciate that. Okay, so thank you, love it. Okay, anyone knows where to get the link? Okay, we have that one. microcurrents. What does that mean? SN, I would love that if you tell me what microcurrents. Is that just a comment, or is there a question? Okay, any other questions for tonight, or are you all set? I'll ask Kirsty to give me the list of programs that she shared. Oh, frequency is microcurrents. Yeah, so one part of the frequency is microcurrents. Who is low in mood, confidence, withdrawn, what would you recommend? Okay, for an elderly person who is about 88 years old, who is low in the mood, confidence, energy, it's a bit withdrawn, what would you recommend, Kirsty? Would you have any recommendation for that?
Maybe even the gold. I find the gold is quite a nice, gentle, kind of one. So maybe I was going to say being, but even like hair, starting at that kind of level. Yeah, that were the ones that kind of came to mind initially.
I would also ask
speak.
Deb, if they have already used frequencies, then you can go into a bit more specific programs. But if they haven't, I would definitely put them on Gold Cycle protocol for at least a month. Because for me, when I started with Gold Cycles, like my mood and hormones and energy completely changed in the body, because they are systemic programs which work on specific organs in the body and actually start balancing the connections between the organs and the pathways within the body. So I would start there. If not, if there's a mood confidence issue, emotional well-being is really good. If you have a professional in a digital nutrition, Joy of Life is actually a really beautiful program. And depending if you scan them, it's sometimes good to look at what comes on a physical scan as well. So you can see if there's any other issues that need to be addressed before you go in to look at the specific symptoms that are coming up in the body. Because the body can give us symptoms, but the cause can be somewhere else. Yeah, so that's where Healy scanning is a really, really beautiful feature to have.
That's what I say the scanning's beautiful because it uncovers the things aren't necessarily obvious to us, right? So that's
correct.
Right,
and it's beautiful. Yeah, Deb, Soul Cycle, Mental Balance are beautiful programs. If you already using that, I would maybe add Gold Cycles because they're systemic programs. Otherwise, I would scan to see what's actually going on a physical level. And it might be gut support because we have serotonin that's literally built up in the gut, right? So we need to look at other areas in the body that are contributing. It might be hormone balance. There's so many things that we could look at. How do you manage to try so many different types of programs with such a short period of time? Did you get your inspirations from the Analysis app? So I can share that really funny story. I can feel you completely, because I think Kirsty can too, because like 4 years ago when we started with Healy, nobody told us that we could actually have only 3 IMF programs per day. And back then we didn't have coils, so because coil you can actually apply more than just that. But I was doing 5 IMF programs at least per day, and it was just insane. Do not go there, trust me. And I can handle frequency, but do not go there. So you will have an extreme detoxification. So it's not about from my perspective, it's not about a competition of how many programs you can try, in a limited time. It's finding a balance for what your body needs right now, and there's no rush, in trying everything. It's about finding a focus in your life. What are you focusing on now? So, for example, definitely. I focused like in the last 4 years. I have focused few months only on the gut health. And I haven't done any of the hormones or anything else. And when I've actually healed the gut and built up that area, I went into hormones and other things. So it's literally dedicating a specific lot of time to a specific area in your life and in your body in order to transform it, so you can build a foundation, so you can build on that. So then when you actually heal your body, you can only use programs like, you're pure, because you can't really, I'm sorry, but we live in the world where air is polluted, water is polluted. So toxins are coming into our life all the time and into our body. So it's good to have detoxification systems ready in order to help the body sustain its systems, right? But it's not a competition. Because do you have any?
I think, like, honestly, my biggest way of learning with like the programs and what they did was every time something would come up, I would just go into the manual and have a look. Or if it was like meridians, I'd just Google that. All right, what does that actually mean? And what's the touch points? And that, so I actually kind of self-taught along the way with the resources that I had, and got very curious about it. So that's how I kind of got my head around a lot of it.
And I think this is beautiful, because then in this case, you were active and participating with Healy, and Healy was actually teaching you how to come back to the body. It was literally bringing you back the information and the connection to the body. So you were starting to understand what your body was saying. And this is something that's really beautiful. And we're going to have a special session in 2 weeks. It's a mind-body connection. So we're going to look at that connection in the training. So, and I love that, Kirsty. Like, I'm the same. Like, I love to learn actively with, actions, which actually gives us what we need. Coil or leads with the programs, what do you normally use with the ones that you've offered?
Like, to be honest, kind of as a general rule, if it's a more physical kind of, or it's quite, I want to see a shift quicker than the microcurrent, I will use the cords. But then, if I'm kind of running around through the day, then I will use the coil. So to be honest, it's probably 50-50. I went through times where I wasn't really using the microcurrents as much, but now I'm definitely integrating both, because I feel like you get a lot, you get that a lot more, kind of response. I think it's a quicker response when you've got the microcurrents, because it's obviously shifting all the ATP components and the amino acids and all the amazingness that it's doing. So it's if it's something that you really is quite acute, then definitely the microcurrents.
Yeah, I'm the same. So Healy is not meant to be used on kids. You can scan them. Healy does not recommend using microcurrent on kids or coil either. So that's in the instructions as well. But that is your choice what you do with your kids. Yeah, I know people that use it, but I can't recommend that. Healy does not recommend that, because it was not tested for kids. Can MAG Healy programs be used by person having so pacemaker implanted? So MAG Healy does not use microcurrent. So if there's a pacemaker, the only problem is the microcurrent, because the microcurrent goes through the heart and it actually can shift the electricity in the pacemaker. So Healy does not recommend. It's actually one of can have adverse effects. So just be mindful. But when it is a magnetic field, the application is different, because there is not a direct current, like a battery charge through the heart. Yeah. Would love to hear about the Meridian program for the Healy, as it is on special. For the MAC Healy, you mean the new one? So we would need to do a whole training on that one, because it's an amazing program.
It's incredible.
It's amazing, like seriously amazing. And before Healy actually brought it out, and this was in a talks for like a year and a half before it actually came out, we were all waiting for this to come out, because I was using the same program. So you need to understand that the program that Healy has now is actually perfected much better than it was in the Time Waver. Yeah, so Time Waver is the big brother of Healy. And I was using the time, like I did sessions with the Time Waver practitioner for me, using that Meridian program. And oh my God, every time it scanned me, it was like on point. Like literally on point, because it literally goes through the
Yeah, yeah.
reflexology points, like the acupuncture points. But it
Yeah.
literally, the last time it showed me last year when I did it, it showed me the meridian. So the kidney meridian was out of balance, and it goes through the whole points, the acupuncture points on the meridian of the left and the right kidney. And it showed me exactly one kidney was, over and the other was underactive. And when I was doing my fascia releases, which means stretching my fascia, and there's a um, exercise called organ activation, organ reset, and you need to breathe into your organs to activate them with energy. And I could feel one of my kidneys was smaller than the other before I actually did the scan. And when the scan came up, I was like, oh my freaking God,
Wow.
like that is exactly what it is. And when I got the
Wow.
frequency, like my energy changed completely. So this program on the Mac Healy is just amazing. And I'm just looking forward to what's coming up this year and the new things that Healy is bringing out. Okay, so we need to finish. So I'm just going to go and look at if there's
Yeah.
anything full on. Otherwise, forgot what program. So we're going to have a whole training session for healing and supporting the gut. So we're going to go look at those, but you can always use your Heal Advisor search app. So you can go and search there. Welcome 2 weeks back. Yeah, I did not feel any difference. 2 weeks are not enough. So if you just started, keep going. Yeah. So you need to understand that if you've been out of balance for a long time, it's going to take a while before your body comes back to balance. You might not feel anything. That doesn't mean it's not working. Yeah. Your frequency will go through the body. Your body will start getting the messages. It will start getting the charge. And as you know, one of the people that I admire for physical health. Unfortunately, I can't say her name, but she said, if your hormones or your body has been out of balance for 3 months, it might take 3 hours to heal. Yeah. If it has been out of balance for 3 years, it might take 3 weeks to heal. If it has been out of balance for 30 years, yeah, it might take 3 years to heal. So we need to understand that the body needs time, and we can't just have a magic pill. This is not approach on a frequency level. And I've been saying this every single time. Yeah, the Mac Healy, the new Meridian is just amazing. Oh, Jeffrey, keep the Mac Healy away from the pacemaker. Can you tell me why?
Pacemakers are programmed magnetically. So given that the Mag Healy is a magnetic device, it's a good idea to keep it a modest distance away from the pacemaker so that it doesn't interfere with the programming of the pacemaker.
Thank you for that. I didn't know that. Thank you for that. See, learn something new today. Love it. I love learning new things. Yes, the nature cycle, we're getting there. You can always recommend things to me, pop them into the group, or pop them on the list. But as you know, there's a lot of things to cover and we have a limited amount of time. Yeah, so we are going through things, and I'm trying to build a foundation for you so you can actually have a different variety, different topics, but you can understand how to build them up. Yeah, so you can actually start connecting the dots. I don't like to do things randomly, because then it's harder for our 3D brain to kind of connect the dots together and build on that foundation. Yeah, so please take Deep Cycle and Nature Cycle next time. So Deep Cycle we already done, so you can find the recordings of the Deep Cycle H. The Nature Cycle, we will come to that one eventually. Yeah, be patient with me, please. But that is it for tonight. Thank you, Kirsty, for coming tonight. Thank you for sharing your programs, sharing your experiences. I am really excited for all those programs. I will ask you to give me the list if you can, so I can pop it into the group, so people can actually get those programs and give them a try. But thank you for coming. It's been an honor and a pleasure to chat with you.
It's been great.
And thank you, everyone, for coming tonight.
Everyone.
Jeffrey, thank you for your input. I'm so grateful to have you here, and learn from you as well. And it's so beautiful to have people that know more than I do, to actually build that up for myself as well. And thank you, everyone. I will be seeing you next week when we do. I actually forgot what we're doing. I forgot what we're doing next week, but you will see it in the promotions anyway. But in 2 weeks, we have the mind-body connection, so we're going to dive into that. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.